Hello, and welcome to The Ganru Show. I'm Golda.
And I'm Wanru.
And this is a podcast that's just like hanging out with your two best girlfriends.
It's like eating Chinese takeout over moving boxes.
Oh, so sweet. It's like professing your love to that someone special while standing in the soaking rain.
Always in the rain. In today's episode, we will be talking about how to bring the magic of romantic comedies, rom-coms, into your everyday life.
Because we all need it. You'll find out why Wanru has to wait 14 days every time she eats bread.
And you'll find out how many croissants Golda can fit into her mouth.
And I say it just like that every time I eat it. Remember, The Ganru Show is available on every podcast provider out there. We're also available to watch a video of us live and in Technicolor on YouTube. So we appreciate it when you share us with your friends and your family and random strangers. So let's get started.
First up, I can't wait to catch up with Golda. So, girl, what you been up to?
Girl, I just got back from Paris, girl.
I know, girl.
Girl, I was in Paris, or we were in Paris for 9 nights, not including travel. So traveling, so the actual air travel is about 12 hours, give or take, each way. And it was a direct flight. So what is that? That's a full day of just traveling. It's 24 hours of just being on a plane or at an airport.
So 9 nights, 10 to 11 days.
Yeah, total.
Wow.
I'm telling you. Now, I have to preface this by saying that this is probably my 4th or 5th time in Paris total. And then, but you know, and each time it's been sort of a glorious time. It's been magical. Of course, it's Paris, right?
You love it. You keep going back.
I mean, you know, and I purposely leave things off the list of things to do so I have an excuse to come back.
Oh, wow.
That's my
I never
trick.
heard of that strategy. Usually people try to maximize.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're not coming back here again. Let's do everything.
Yeah, ram it all in.
You're just trying to ram it all.
Right, in 2 days. Like, we only have 2 days. We have to do everything in Paris. That how Paris was made since the beginning of time.
But you're trying to savor it.
No, yeah. So we had 9, and we didn't go anywhere else. We just went to Paris. We stayed in Paris for 9 days.
Yeah, and how do you feel? Do you feel like you're fully immersed in the Parisian lifestyle?
Yeah, part of me was definitely, it felt like, you know, we were operating like quasi-locals, even though we were at a 5-star hotel. Whatever. That's so annoying, isn't it? I just heard myself say that. I just don't like me right for that second, but I'm back. I love me again.
Okay. You know, it's so funny. You were saying we were operating like quasi-local. I swear. What do you think I was thinking you were going to say?
What?
We were operating like Quasimodo.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Quasimodo, but like on hiatus because Notre Dame was not doing too good.
Yeah.
But anyway, we went back to Paris and we did indulge, Wanru. I don't know if I told you this, but we indulge. As many of you know, we are on a low carb way of eating. We don't eat rice, pasta, bread, traditional sweets, all those things. But we allowed ourselves to do a little bit more carbs on this trip. So I will say that I did indulge in croissants.
Wow, what else?
All the breads of Paris.
All
the breads.
Did you guys have sweets?
Not really.
Okay.
We did not partake in the sweets.
Okay.
But we did have crepes.
Oh.
And we did not mess around. We did not go for the fruity crepes. We went straight for the sugar and butter ones.
Yes.
Just give me the sugar and the butter. Don't even bother melting it. Just bring extra on the side. We will eat it and put it in our mouth first. We'll spoon it in our mouth first. And then we'll eat the bready stuff.
So let me ask you. You had not eaten, like not a piece of bread or rice or crepe had passed your lips. No flour.
Nothing.
In your body for a year and a half.
A year and a half. Like did not cheat. Not even once.
So what was the first thing you ate that was a carb?
Croissant.
Perfect way to break your ketos with a croissant. How did that croissant taste in your mouth?
Let me just give you a visual.
Okay.
So I have this croissant on a very lovely plate in front of me. I pick up the croissant. I proceed to put the tippy end, one of the two tippy ends in my mouth. I am not a woman about it. I'm not a lady. I'm not a gentle woman about it. I proceed to put half the croissant. I don't care what I look like
in your hole. Just get it in there.
The faster the croissant gets in me, the better. Half of it goes in. I don't even chew yet. It's just hitting the roof of my mouth. And my eyes roll to the back of my head. This is how delightful and magical and simply glorious it was to have that croissant. We proceeded to have other types of carbs. What were some of the other carbs we had? Oh, we had French fries.
Oh, how was that?
Because, the French folks, they like having French fries with their meats. They call the French fries frites. So they have a lot of steak and frites type places. And we went to this one place in the Saint Germain neighborhood, famous neighborhood where Hemingway, Van Gogh, Picasso, where they would hang out, Gertrude Stein. And we went to this famous place, and the woman couldn't dole out the French fries fast enough.
More French fries.
I'm like, the vat of French fries, just leave it on this chair. When I say it in the accent, I think they understand me better. Is that racist?
I barely put the plate on the table and it's still hot and now it's gone. 2 seconds, it was gone.
Yeah, and what else too is that a lot of Europeans and French people eat their fries with a fork.
Yes.
No, girl. I was using the claw, girl. The claw, all 10 fingerlings were heading towards that plate.
Raking it in your mouth, American style.
Yes, I didn't even bother. I just picked up the plate and just moved the fries into the mouth hole.
Much like a
pretty much
tree thresher.
Yes. Although I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. That sounds about right. So we did a lot of eating, which was glorious. Did a lot of walking. Here's the thing, though, that we figured out is when we've gone in the past, Paris can do no wrong. We had the traditional rose-colored glasses on our eyes, and it was just a magical city, et cetera, et cetera. Parisians have a reputation of being rude or being kind of stuck up. And, I've never noticed that the entire trips that I've taken to Paris. I used to actually fight for Parisians when Americans would bring that up in conversation. And I'd say, you're just being a bad tourist. You don't understand their ways, et cetera, et cetera. But I will say those rose-colored glasses have been taken off.
What happened?
There was some rudeness, okay? With certain situations where we encountered some native Parisians and they weren't really having it with us. But it was a little bit of a surprise. But I think now we understand that there's as we're anywhere, right? You're gonna have good, bad, and ugly, right?
So you saw some Parisian road rage. Some of the ugly.
Yes. So we went on a side trip to Claude Monet's house. Claude Monet, the artist from the late 1800s, early 1900s, the Impressionist Claude Monet. He's known for those blurry paintings that look blurry up close, but then you look from a distance and it's crystal clear. And he does these water lilies and this bridge and just like a lot of nature. So we went to his house, this garden house. And we went through a tour company, and the tour company has this little van that can seat like 9 people. And our driver was great because he was so fast. He was like zipping through the highway. It's like we look out our window and it's just car after car after car that we're just zipping past. The only problem is that he's kind of a jerk to like other drivers. So we got totally cut off by a driver, and he basically went right in front of our van and stopped like that in front of the van, and he got out of the car.
Whoa.
And he was yelling, and our car was forced to stop. So we experienced Parisian road rage in its all its glory. And let me
Whoa.
tell you something is, French is a very beautiful language. And they make road rage look very glamorous. So even though I'm sure he's saying stuff like, you MF, you blah, 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 it sounded so sexy. Because he was yelling like and just gesticulating with his hands. He's like, and I'm like, say it, man. Say it.
You're like,
say all that rage.
Well, I'm taken, but whoa, I mean, I'll go to dinner with you.
What's your Instagram account? So that was interesting. And it was really
Do you
interesting
have any plans later today? Because wow.
Because I eat bread now. That opens up all the doors. Anyway, so the guy was yelling at our driver for what seems to be like 10, 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
And it is it was like they were having a conversation. And then he leaves, right? And then he leaves. And I said to Gertie, I was like, if this were to happen in America, where someone cuts you off and then screeches to a halt in front of you, thereby forcing you to stop your car in the middle of a highway.
Oh my God.
And that person gets out of the car, someone's getting shot.
Yep.
That's the American way.
Exactly.
Viva la France. We can learn something from the peacefulness of French people, I guess. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a tour de force.
Yeah, I will say, on a purely superficial note, what I did realize is, I brought, I have my little like hand carry of goodies, like when you travel. And I always feel like I'm overdoing it. Like I always get a lot of stuff. Like I always get like Clorox wipes and wet ones and Kleenex. And I always tell myself, Golda, why are you doing that? They've got these things in the country that you're going to. You're not going in the middle of Timbuktu, right?
Right.
I'm sure they'll have Kleenex in France. Why are you bringing all this Kleenex, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to chill out with all of these like, toiletry items that I normally get. Well, wouldn't you know it? We get to Paris and we go to their local Target. They call it Monoprix over there. But we go to the local Target. I'm like, I'm just going to replenish my Clorox wipes, my wet ones. They ain't got no wet ones in Paris. They ain't got that there. So note for those travelers looking to go to Paris, stock up on the wet ones or the Clorox wipes because they don't got it.
I must say, I agree with you. I've traveled in Europe a little bit, and bread, they know.
Yeah.
French fries, they know.
Yeah.
Hygiene, not such a priority for them.
Like sneezing. I notice a lot of sneezing instead of sneezing in your arm or your elbow or in your hand.
Yeah.
Sneezing straight up in the air.
So it comes
down. So it comes down like a waterfall.
Like a waterfall. Let me just disperse it like a mist.
Yeah.
Over.
Like an Avion facial mist.
Exactly.
That is what it is.
What is the maximum radius I can hit? Achoo!
Yeah.
Let me just...
And it's in a French accent.
Oh, what?
Sneezery.
Sneezery.
They sneeze. It's very, very beautiful when they sneeze. Even though
just sneeze.
Je t'aime sneeze.
Tous les sneeze.
But yeah, they should. We took the subway, and you would think that as much of a germaphobe that I am, that I would get sick because we were packed in like sardines, and the sneezing was going on up in the air, right? I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna get sick on this trip. Can I just tell you, I didn't even get a sniffle. I don't know what that is.
So what did we learn?
That is
Number one, your Clorox wipes were unnecessary.
I didn't need my Clorox wipes, I guess.
They're sneezing as
maybe that's a technique.
As disgusting as it is.
Yeah.
Has no effect on transmittable diseases.
Yeah.
Carbohydrates did not cause you to gain weight.
No.
As a matter of fact, you lost weight.
I did. I lost like 1.5 pounds.
What?
God, this is very, very confusing.
The French have as much road rage as we do, but they let it out without violence.
Yeah, they just talk it out.
Yeah.
They talk it out in their French.
Bark is worse than the bite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not gonna do anything. They're just yelling. They're venting.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And I think the reason why we lost weight was because we were doing a ton of walking.
Of course, yes.
And that's something we don't get to do a lot here in Los Angeles, or that we choose to do, I should say.
Right.
It's not like, someone's at the door saying, you are forbidden to walk anywhere,
Yeah.
missy. But anyway, that was my trip.
Amazing.
That is my trip. So what about you? What is your girl? What you been up to?
It's not going to sound as exciting as your whirlwind tour in
Michelle.
Paris.
Let's hear it.
So it's kind of related
Okay.
because you ate bread
Ugh.
and you were
I
slowing
have
down.
pictures on video.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of went back to a more traditional way of living.
Yeah.
Walking, hanging out,
Mm-hmm.
living the Parisian way.
Yeah.
So I was trying to cultivate my own sourdough starter. Now, for those of you who are not familiar,
Sourdough the bread?
sourdough the bread.
Okay.
So for those of you who are not familiar with what a sourdough starter is, it is spoiled flour.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
That's what sourdough bread is spoiled flour?
spoiled flour and water.
How do you buy the spoiled flour like at the grocery store, or you have to make the spoiled flour?
You put flour and water together in a bowl and you leave it on your countertop for 3 days. And through the miracles of nature,
Uh-huh.
yeast and bacteria will form a little party in there.
Okay.
And it will form a bubbling,
Uh-huh.
smelly,
Ooh.
moist,
Mm.
massive dough on your counter.
Oh,
And
okay.
the idea is to take this fermented dough,
Yeah.
put it with some fresh flour and water, and through the miracles of nature,
Mm-hmm.
produce a perfectly edible loaf of bread we call sourdough.
Interesting.
Advantages of sourdough. Would you like to hear some
I
advantages?
would love to hear the advantages versus other types of dough or other types of bread.
Other types of bread.
Okay. Sourdough is low glycemic, isn't it?
Supposedly, because
Yeah.
what happens is you let those bacteria and those yeast party down and eat all the sugars in the flour,
Oh.
and they produce a waste,
I see.
which is, I think it's like acid or something. Some
Okay.
sort of acid waste. So
Uh-huh.
it's actually breaking down the starch and the sugar. So there's less sugar in sourdough bread. And
Okay.
apparently, because it's non-GMO, meaning like it's not the yeast that we buy from the store, that rapid rise
Yeah.
yeast, and it's not the yeast that's used to make commercial bread. It's from the air of your house. That's as non-GMO as it gets. It's like a natural product. Supposedly, it's a better type of yeast for you to be eating.
So this bread is a result of the air that the bread is living in.
Exactly.
Man, my sourdough bread would taste like cat fur. Special cat fur and freeway dust.
Mine would also taste like freeway dust and Chinese food because I live in the San Gabriel Valley.
Got it.
So yeah, wherever you live is going to pick up the natural sort of microbes from the air.
Some kind of
supposedly.
pollen, maybe.
What?
Pollen that's floating around.
Yes, pollen. That's why San
Interesting.
Francisco is very famous for their sourdough because they've been cultivating that original, they call it a starter. They've been culturing it for hundreds of years. Supposedly, and it develops complexity. Anyways,
They've developed this soiled, or what is it called? Spoiled, not soiled.
spoiled dough.
Spoiled dough for hundreds of years.
Yeah, you can keep it going for hundreds of years. I know a chef who's kept it for 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, Gary Menes of Le Comptoir here in Los Angeles, California. I've eaten that sourdough.
How is it?
Delicious.
Really? So
Yeah.
it's like cheese. It's like wine.
Exactly.
Sourdough is like wine,
exactly.
right? The
yeah.
wine of cheese. I mean, the wine of bread. I guess I want cheese. 'Cause I keep saying cheese.
It's the cheese of cheese. What? No, I mean, it's the what? It's the cheese of bread.
What made you decide to make sourdough bread?
Because I decided that although I can buy a loaf of bread for $3 of much higher quality and
hard-earned
taste,
money.
Yeah.
That's hard-earned money.
I would rather spend $20 and 100 hours worth of labor to fulfill my need to see if I can manufacture this science project gone awry into some sort of edible thing.
You've got a really robust 401k, I can tell. So you're going to spend $20 in countless hours on a
For
loaf of bread,
which will be far inferior to what you can buy at La Brea Bakery here in Los Angeles, California, or Ralph's.
Okay.
Yes. But you know what? I want to satisfy my scientific curiosity. I want to cultivate my own yeast strain. And on top of that, I want to see if it's possible to bake with natural yeast. So basically, I let it spoil. And then for 14 days, I fed this bitch of a starter because, it's all weak and stuff. It can't it's not active, right?
Okay.
And then I am going to bake with it. TBD. I have not.
Oh, you haven't done anything.
I've not successfully baked with it yet. On day 7, I took a little portion and tried to bake. It was a disaster.
Oh.
Because I told you this thing was a little bitch, okay?
Oh.
So it was not mature yet. And it produced a loaf which looked beautiful, a beautiful round loaf. And you cut it open, half air, empty air, and a dense hockey puck of dough on the bottom, of which looked like a kitchen sponge crossed with mochi.
That doesn't sound too bad.
Okay. And then I ate this thing, and I go, wow. Okay, so it was very dense. So clearly, it did not have the power to rise. Right? It's not a mature, meaning that the yeast isn't enough in there. It's not plentiful enough. But the flavor was very delicious.
Oh, interesting.
Flavor was good. Monrovia's
got good air quality.
Yeah. It's got good yeast strain in Monrovia. So that's where I live, by the way. Stalkers. Okay. Anyway, so so the yeast strain I have is good, but it's not powerful enough. But now it's day 14, and I think she's ready. I think she's matured.
Wow, day 14.
She went abroad. She came back from abroad. She's more mature now.
Yeah, she's seen some things. Missed some flights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So you've gone around the world, and I stayed home and spoiled dough.
What if you brought this loaf around? Can you get the air quality from the places that you travel to?
Supposedly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do some people put it in a box or something so it doesn't spoil or get contaminants?
Because you have to feed the starter almost every day. So I have heard people, they bring it to them.
How do you
bring it to places and feed it?
How do you feed it?
So you take a little portion of your starter, which is the spoiled sourdough dough. You put it in a new bowl. You add flour and water, fresh flour and water. That's how you feed it every day, and it grows like the thing.
Wow. So what's your goal to wait the 14 days?
For it to be mature, and then I will bake a sourdough loaf from a yeast strain I've cultivated myself, hopefully. Check back in the next Ganru podcast. We'll give you a sourdough update.
I would love to see some video of what happens in 14 days. If you want to do a little video on that and see what it. Are you going to have are you going to invite people over? Are you going to have a dinner, maybe some spaghetti and meatballs?
I will
with the sourdough.
I don't want to make promises with my sourdough because it is unproven and immature. But once it's ready for the world stage, I will present it to the world.
Wow.
If it ever gets to that place.
That's really impressive. That's extra step, just going to allrecipes.com.
Sure it is.
And just, plugging away.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know if it's worth it. But anyways, so that's what I've been up to.
For our girl. What you been up to? Our topic for today is how to bring the magic of romantic comedies or rom-coms into your life. How you can create an escapist fantasy of your own.
Because that's what we need every day.
Why not?
To escape the drudgery.
Why not?
Of our regular lives, everyday lives.
Exactly. And we were inspired because Wanru and I recently watched the mega Netflix hit called Always Be My Maybe, starring Ali Wong and Randall Park, as well as James Sato and Michelle Buteau, who I love her, and directed by Nanachka Khan, and written by Ali Wong, Randall Park, and Michael Galamko. Very talented.
Yeah.
So Wanru, why don't you tell us a little bit about the movie, or what did you like the movie, and why are we talking about this movie?
Well, I liked it. It was cute little romantic, frivolous romp, which is exactly what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
But what made it so much more special for me is that it was presented with an Asian American voice and point of view. So there's two leads who are both Asian American.
Yep.
And one portrayed a Vietnamese American and one portrayed a Korean American. So we see a little insight into their families and just simple things like, what do they eat? What do Korean Americans eat? You know, what's a household that is Korean American like growing up? What's it like to grow up in San Francisco? So there's a lot of particulars, meaning details, which made it more interesting and more, I don't know, more well-rounded in my view.
Yeah.
But it was also funny. It's funny and it's cute. It's a typical rom-com as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think I heard someone say that usually in movies you kind of have to squint if you have to find like Asian Americans in anything. Like, where are they? Were they that person back there in the bar scene?
Yeah.
And this one was up front, up close and personal. I loved it. Love. I've been a huge Randall Park fan forever.
Yes, we love you, Randall. He's such a great guy all around too.
Love Randall Park. He and Allie went to UCLA, my old alma mater, and they were Asian American Studies majors, or at least double majors or minors. And so I think that in and of itself was really exciting. And I believe that when they came together to write this, it was a result of an interview that Allie had, I want to say with Hollywood Reporter, where she talked about how she liked When Harry Met Sally and how...
Yes, this is their inspiration for this movie. Yes.
Yeah. And so, you know, I think it was just a spark of an idea. And then before you know it, studios and executives were coming to Randall and Allie saying, oh, we want to read the script. And they're like, oh, we don't have a script. So then they wrote the script because there was an interest in a romantic comedy starring these two megawatt performers and artists. So what I really loved about it is that you are looking at, you know, average people. It's their story and they happen to be Asian American. I think that's the bit that I particularly liked. I also really liked a lot of the observational humor that they injected into a lot of the scenes. I mean, I've watched it a couple of times, and actually I watched it again this morning prior to this filming. And I was laughing with the same fervor that I did when it was still a surprise. So I think that's a good measurement for me, is when I'm still laughing, even though I see it again and again. And one of the things that I love is just the subtleties of the comedic timing, the physical comedy, the humor. They're so smart, super razor wit. Yeah. The wit with which it's the whole other level of comedy. It's not like crass comedy. It's not cheap comedy. This is like finely crafted comedy, writing and performing and storytelling. So overall, I really loved it.
And I was also going to say that there's so much specificity, not only the location and obviously their culture, but I think Allie and Randall have very specific senses of humor, different senses of humor. And I'm sure Michael also does, but they infused this whole thing with their own sensibility, their own personality. It's like I can see their personality coming through in their characters and in the writing. I
also will say the way it was directed by Nanachika Khan. She is she's someone who's worked with a lot of other TV shows like Fresh Off the Boat and the Bitch in 3D, I think is what it's called. Anyway, and I think she is a master storyteller. I was looking at some of the shots, you know, and how she positions these shots. And a shot that I particularly loved was in the movie, the parents of Ali Wong have a party for their godson. And before anybody says anything, you have this wide shot of the house, and then you see all of these shoes outside of the front door of the house, and then you follow these two young girls. It's a pan. I mean, this is the kind of detail I like. I'm such a nerd. Anyway, so you pan in on these two young girls, take off their shoes before they get into the house, carry their shoes. Then you go inside the house with their point of view, and then they proceed to the back door of the house, put the shoes down, then put their shoes back on. So I really appreciated that as an Asian American, where we don't wear our shoes in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's always been that way. And to see it on the big screen was definitely something else. There was a lot of subtleties there. And also, this is not a spoiler, but Ali Wong's character, named Sasha, is a latchkey kid. So she's growing up in San Francisco. Her parents have a store that they're always at. They're trying to provide for their family. So the parents are at the store, and she's a young child, and she's got a key on a piece of thread around her neck, and she makes her way inside the house, and she's, basically looks after herself.
Yeah.
For a good part of her childhood, it seems like. And I think that, as a child of immigrant parents, that's exactly what me and my sister went through.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly our experience.
I was even thinking like, I had that same exact string, that white cotton string.
Yep.
I'm like, where is that? Do they only sell one roll?
Zodi's. You get it at Zodi's.
Is that where it was? Did they only
or Thrifties
offer that one roll of cotton twine? Because I had that
so.
same one, and it would get all brown from being around your neck.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe TMI, and I have to change that. My mom have to
Your
change
neck dirt.
Neck dirt. To change out that string. But I'm like, they nailed it. That's exactly the cotton string. Zodi's.
Yeah.
Whatever, Walgreens or wherever they got.
Yep.
That's exactly what I had.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I really appreciated a lot of those details that you don't. I mean, that's a very specific thing, right? And from what I understand, Randall and Ali didn't set out to do an Asian American romantic comedy. They just happened to be Asian American, and they just happened to put these details in the movie but that's not the focus of what they're trying to say. But it definitely colors the landscape and colors their experience, right?
Yeah.
And it informs how the characters develop, right? So you see that Randall's character becomes sort of an HVAC type of, he helps his dad with his HVAC business, right? And Ali becomes this world famous restaurant chef.
Yeah.
Becomes a world famous chef. Yeah. So
I think you can tell. We loved it. It's a ringing endorsement for the movie.
Yeah.
But in the bigger picture, I actually was thinking that rom-coms are a great way to live your life.
Yeah.
So that's why we want to do this podcast segment, to see how can we take those hallmarks of rom-coms or take those trademarks and imbue them into our own lives, or perhaps into your life. Yeah. And make it more magical.
Yes, this is a verbal study, as you will, of the possibility of conducting your life or approaching your life as a rom-com.
Exactly.
So let's hear it. What are some of the components of a rom-com?
Okay, all right. So, it's the same sort of cliches over and over again, right? But you know what? It's what we look for, and it's actually enjoyable to watch these events unfold. So, right, at least in my eyes.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the first hallmarks of rom-coms is the meet cute.
Okay, what is that?
Which means two people, potential love interests, meet in a way which is adorable, and in a way that in real life you would like to tell that story to your friends and your families and whoever asks, like, how the two of you meet? They go, oh, well, we have a really cute story. Hopefully not with that voice, but the meet cute is that sort of,
it's a cute way to meet.
Unrealistic. Exactly. It's unrealistic, but it's a cute way to meet. Mm-hmm. So every rom-com has this. So how can we enhance our own lives with our own meet cute moments?
I don't know. It sounds exhausting, but it can be fun.
Okay. So obviously, meet cute is usually applied to romantic interests, right?
Yeah.
So it means if you see someone that you find attractive or just someone interesting, don't be afraid to approach them, because you gotta have an opportunity to talk.
Yeah, it could be a story that you could tell your children.
Absolutely. So if they are in for example, the dairy case at your Ralph's, you go up to them and you go, hey, do you know anything about oat milk? I noticed you're putting almond milk into your cart. I'm lactose intolerant too. Okay, right.
Or I just opened this carton. Does this smell right to you? Something like that. I think would be very memorable to tell your grandchildren.
It would be. But the key is that all around you, wherever you go, there are opportunities to meet and talk to people if you take that initiative. Because the thing is, in a rom-com, when two people bump into each other, okay, like one spills coffee on the other, they don't go, oops, sorry, and then walk away.
That was Notting Hill.
No, was it Notting Hill?
Oh, yes. Not Cary Grant. What's his name? Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant owns, in the movie Notting Hill, owns a bookshop, a travel bookshop. And Julia Roberts' character is a mega star.
Movie star.
Yeah, she plays a mega star. And she's touring London, and he runs into her. And then she spills coffee on her white shirt.
Yep.
So he brings her to her house, and that's how they kind of start everything.
But if you just, spill coffee and someone go, hey, sorry, and then run away.
Then there's no opportunity.
No opportunity, right? Yeah. But if you look up and you're like, oh, this girl's cute, let me try to get her to my house to get her blouse off.
We're not advocating. We're not advocating throwing your kombucha at a cute person that you might run into.
Exactly. Exactly. And actually,
plus kombucha is expensive, so.
Exactly. And by the way, I have created these moments many times in my life just by being chatty, and it's not potential love interest.
For example, let's
I'll
hear
give
it.
you an example. I went to a chicken place yesterday, fried chicken.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Doesn't sound bad.
What place is this? I'm curious
it's
now.
Called Crack Shack in Pasadena. Highly recommend.
Is it good?
I heard
about that.
Oh my goodness, they have very thickly battered fried chicken. Anyways, so they have a condiment bar. 8 different sauces that you can dispense. And I was like, whoa, what do I do? It's like the salsa bar at like Baja Fresh. You're like, oh my God, El Pollo Loco. Sauce. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I asked the guy next to me, I go, oh, which one? He's like, sweet chili. Sweet chili. It's all about sweet chili. And then so I said, oh yeah, I'm going to get that. He's like, get the sweet chili. And he was giving me all these tips.
And you're like, can you feed it to me? Is that too far? I brought my own spoon. No. Too much.
You dip your finger into it and then you just put it in their mouth.
Boop.
No.
Sweet chili off my index finger. I think I washed it this morning.
I think. Not sure.
Maybe not.
I was not trying to hit on this guy.
Okay.
I have a boyfriend, but I'm saying you see opportunities exist. And as I walk away and I walk by his table, I was holding my tray of condiments. I gave him the thumbs up. He gave me a thumbs up back.
Oh.
Over condiments.
Oh, that's nice.
It's like it's good. It's good, And
okay.
Because we were sitting at a long table at the Crack Shack. Okay. This sounds weird, but Crack Shack is chicken place. Okay. So, okay. We're sitting at a long table and there's a person next to me and I had like a paper plate full of bones, discarded bones. And the person said,
they're not nuggets?
No, it's fried chicken with the bone.
Thinking nuggets.
You could also get.
It's so much work.
You can also get boneless chicken breast. Lazy fried chicken
eater. I'm a lazy chicken eater.
Okay. So
guilty.
The person sitting next to me and I got a plate of bones, right?
Okay.
And I said, oh gosh, I'm sorry. Because the plate of bones is like near his elbow. That's kind of disgusting. Who wants to see that?
Ooh.
And he turned around. He's like, oh, no problem. Wouldn't that be a cute story?
How would you tell that story to your grandchildren if that was your future husband?
Because your grandma likes fried chicken so much, I had a whole plate of dirty bones. And your grandpa was sitting next to me, and I saw he was very handsome, very muscular man. And I said, pardon me, I hope you don't mind my bones being so close to your shoulder. And he said,
that's a big old pile of bones there, Grandma.
And he said, I surely don't mind. And then he said, would you like to go to the church dance with me next Sunday? And I said, I absolutely would. See?
Oh,
it's an opportunity to talk with the person. Okay. It doesn't matter what it is. It's an opportunity. Make an opportunity to talk with the person.
Got it.
Okay. The chicken bones is a vehicle to get to know the person better.
Yes.
Okay. So male or female. And by the way, you could judge a lot by people's reactions. Oh. So let's say I said, oh, pardon me about the chicken bones. And he's like, yeah, get that the nasty pile away from me.
No meat cute for you, Buster.
Avoid that person, male or female at all costs, right? But if they go, oh, I don't mind. And I was like, oh, sorry, I'm just spreading out here.
If they pick up one of the bones on the top and say, you missed You missed a bit right around the cartilage.
And then put it in their mouth. That person's a psychopath.
I was gonna say maybe they're like their soulmate.
Oh no! They put your nasty old chicken bone in their mouth.
Well, hello, you're gonna go heading in that direction with chicken bones.
My point is, you can make friends over anything, over sweet chili condiment, pile of bones. Maybe your hands are all sticky, and you're like, "Oh, can you pass me some napkins?" You can make friends. Oh, I have another example.
Yeah,
at work. You know what? I'm just sound like a glutton because all my meet cute
they're
moments.
Food related.
Food related.
Okay.
So I love the house chips from my work cafeteria. They fry their own potato chips.
What?
Called house chips. I love it.
Your company fries, and you don't work just for record keeping sakes. You don't work at a restaurant.
No, I work at a pharmaceutical company. And
why would they fry their own chips?
Because they're amazing. They make house chips. They serve them.
That
with
sounds
their
like
paninis.
A human experiment.
They're thick, but not. They taste like kettle chips. They're delicious.
Okay,
anyways, so sometimes I'll go up there and buy the house chips alone. Okay, and this guy was placing an order, and he goes, "I'll have the panini combo, no house chips." And I said, "Oh, I love the house chips." And he's like, "Give her my house chips." I got free house chips, and every time I see that guy, I give him. This involves a lot of pointing and thumbs upping, but
rubbing of the belly,
and rubbing
and then pointing out the butthole.
Of what?
Oh, I thought the farting. No,
no.
You don't want to get to. You don't want to do the range of digestion.
No.
Okay.
I'm not following the food down my digestive tract. I'm not a caveman.
I see.
What I'm doing is every time I see him in the cafeteria now, I said, "Hey, thank you so much. Like thumbs up for the house chips." And the other day he goes, "French fries?" And I go, "No, thank you. Maybe take you up next week." But you see, we bonded over some chips that he didn't want.
And this could potentially be sexy talk for certain people. Yeah. Food conversations.
Absolutely.
Right?
Anyways, the key to the meeting cute is do not miss an opportunity to make conversation with somebody. All you need is the slightest crack in the door. Get your foot in there.
Yeah, got it. So in the brain, downloaded, ready to rock.
Exactly.
What's the next hallmark of a rom-com?
Would you like to introduce the next typical sort of plot point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always, I always find that it's always the person that you don't expect is the person that ends up being your soulmate. So you're always going to be surprised.
Let's think about some rom-coms that have that theme.
Oh.
When Harry Met Sally.
Totally.
They were enemies, right?
She didn't like him. Yeah.
They were like married to other people.
Yeah.
Right?
Just all of the Meg Ryans. All of the Meg Ryan movies from
You got mail.
The late 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Or mid to late 90s.
Courage Under Fire? Okay, maybe not.
That was her. That was her delving into drama, which didn't do as well.
It was not. It was awful. Bad choice.
Yeah,
Bad
she didn't
choice.
look good with dog tags. Just think that was it.
Okay. All right. What other movies?
You've got mail. Oh, A Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, Sleepless
in
Seattle.
But then they kind of liked each other. Oh, the classic of all classics, the template of romantic comedies. Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
Jane Austen.
Yeah.
You've got Lizzie and Darcy, the two protagonists. She can't stand him.
Can't stand him.
He's so arrogant and so uppity.
Yeah.
But guess what? Spoiler alert, 200 years later. So don't hate us. They get together.
And the modern day interpretation of that is the Renee Zellweger one, which is Bridget Jones.
Bridget Jones' Diary.
And her love interest in that, who's that guy?
Mark Darcy, played by Colin Firth. Again, the guy can't get away from this.
They can't stand each other.
Yep.
Right?
They hate each other.
They hate each other. She's tacky and loud and obnoxious.
Yes.
And he's stuck up.
Yeah. And proper and British.
Those three things
I'm not being racist.
Are not always linked together. But
I just said it because that's what she says.
And then their parents are friends, right? And they keep trying to push them together, right? And it's like, stop it. We don't want to be with each other.
Right.
But,
so this hallmark here for this particular point is it's never the one that you expect.
Yes.
Even though you might think, oh, I hate that person. I'm never going to get together with that person.
Yeah.
You never know.
So how could this apply in our real lives, meaning romantically and then non-romantically?
I would say that keep your options open. Not so fast there, buddy, on the draw. That woman or that man that you're like, oh my gosh, he or she is not good for me. I turned French just now. Did you hear that? I just turned French.
Go for it.
I didn't like that. It's road rage. I don't like him.
He pulled his car right in front of me and he popped out and he was just shouting profanities at me.
But, if I were single and straight, I would have probably had a conversation with that guy saying, hey, boo, I like your Peugeot. How long have you had it? Or something. Right? It's never the person that you expect. So think in your network of folks who you could give two shits about. That could be your soulmate.
It's about giving people a chance, right?
Yeah, it's the people that aren't even on your radar. So you might have to do some deep digging or look through old photos.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to remember these people because they're not on your radar.
Yeah.
So I would say look through old photos, old Instagrams, look on your friends' Instagrams, look at group photos.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that quiet guy that always eats all that cheese at the party? And he sits in the corner and only talks to one person? Maybe he's the guy.
Yeah.
And you're always like, he looks boring. Maybe he might not be boring.
Maybe when you two are alone, he opens up and he's just this interesting person. Highly unlikely, but it's possible.
But Wanru, we're saying that possibly you can be surprised.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to say that this also applies to life in general, because haven't you ever hired somebody or there's a new person at your work and you're like, oh, that person's a weirdo. And when you get to know them better, you're like, oh, that person's great. Misunderstood. And there's other people who present great. Like, oh, man, I'm so glad this person joined our company. After a couple months, you're like, psychopath.
Yeah, definitely. So you never know. You could be surprised either pleasantly or not.
Yeah. So keep an open mind, either for your love interests or for who you're going to hire, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our second hallmark is it's never the one that you expect. It could be, you could allow yourself to be surprised.
Exactly.
So what's the third hallmark of a romantic comedy that we can infuse into our lives?
Okay. So have you noticed that in every rom-com, there's always a cast of quirky characters that surround our protagonists?
Yes.
Weird friends. Each one of them has a weird trademark.
Arguably more interesting than the actual lead protagonist.
I actually would agree. So, it's called the Judy Greer. So Judy Greer is an American actress, and she's been in dozens of movies.
From the 30s and 40s, right?
Oh, no, she's a modern day.
Oh, she's
a modern day.
See how off the radar she is?
If you saw what she would look like.
I know who
Yeah,
you
maybe
mean.
Your producer, Gertie, can pull up a picture for you. To look at. Once her name is spelled Grier, Judy Greer. But, she has blended into movies so well.
It's like a character actor. Was she the one that was in The Wedding Planner with J-Lo and she played her assistant? Is that Judy Greer?
Oh my God.
The Wedding Planner?
She has so many credits. We'll actually look into it in just a second. But the point is that
it is.
Yes, okay, confirm.
She's got an old-timey name. That's why I thought that she was an actor from the 20s.
Exactly. So every rom-com has a cast of quirky characters, right?
Okay.
But I say this can be wonderful to infuse into your own life because, in real life, we need a support network.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't take yourself too seriously.
Right.
So if you have a group of friends who keep it real, because, all those characters always keeping it real, right?
Mm.
I mean, who was the one who told Hugh Grant, you're an idiot? It was his cast of friends, right? His relatives.
Right.
Because Hugh Grant's like, well, she gave me a painting. And
I'm just a girl.
She told me I'm just a girl.
Standing in front of a boy.
Asking him to love her. And by the way, she bought me this $2 million painting as well of a goat. Is it a goat?
It's a Kandinsky.
Kandinsky. And everyone's like, you're a bloody idiot.
Yes.
That is a $2 million Kandinsky.
And they were a very colorful cast of characters.
Right. There was the woman who talked like this. She's got a little baby voice. Do you remember that lady?
That was his sister.
Her sister.
His sister.
And there's a guy that talks like this. He's got a very deep voice. I forgot who that guy was.
Yeah, he's his flatmate.
Yeah, that was a Ringo Starr.
That was Ringo Starr. I think
Sounds
his name
like
was it.
Oh yeah, his disgusting Welsh roommate.
Yeah.
Who ate mayonnaise and said he thought it was yogurt.
Right. That was him.
Why am I talking like this? I can't stop now. Anyways, my point is...
We're very international in this episode.
We are.
I feel like.
The point is that you have all these quirky cast of characters, but they serve a function.
Yeah.
Okay? Which is they keep it real.
Yeah.
They give you a perspective outside of your own life.
I will say the movie Always Be My Maybe that we just watched, Ali Wong, Randall Park, their best friend.
Oh, hell yeah.
Can I just tell you, Michelle Buteau played Ali Wong's best friend. She is a master class. Oh my God. This woman, I love you. Come on our show, please. Michelle, you probably recognize her. She's been in everything. Most notably for me, at least, I've seen her in Key and Peele sketches. Oh, she's hilarious. She was also in that romantic comedy movie with Rebel Wilson. She was in that movie as well.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah.
But she was an integral part of Ali Wong's character's development.
It was like a sanity check. She was her sanity check. Like
she kept it real with her. She was all like, "No, you need to look at him," or "No, you're not going to be the godmother," or whatever. She was not afraid to tell it like it was. And Ali Wong's character appreciated it and loved it. I will say, just a little quick sidebar.
Yeah.
Michelle Buteau and Ali Wong's character, what I really appreciated about the rom-com Always Be My Maybe was the female relationships. I really loved it. I love the relationship between Sasha, Ali Wong's character, and Veronica, Michelle Buteau's character. They were so close, but they kept it real. They were very authentic.
Yes.
They looked out for each other, and they always said they loved each other.
I know.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
They're so loving. Versus maybe some of the more old-fashioned rom-coms where you usually find like women kind of pitted against each other.
Yeah.
And that was the conflict. That was the way that,
Like the Cameron Diaz, Julia Roberts one. What was the name of that one?
My Best Friend's Wedding.
My Best Friend's Wedding. See, the two women were pitted against each other, and the best friend relationship was male-female.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see this supportive female friendship. Also, may I also cite Carrie Fisher and Meg Ryan in when Harry Meets Sally.
Yeah.
And again, sounding boards, right? Because Carrie Fisher had a time when she was down.
Yeah.
And she was dating that guy who would not leave his wife.
Yeah.
And then Meg Ryan had a time that she was down because she just slept with Harry, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm mixing up all the character and actor names.
Yeah.
But and when Sally was down, her friend was there for her, right?
Yeah.
And so...
Or Clueless. Cher's cast of best friends were also very, not detrimental. Well, some of them were, but they were very instrumental in her kind of discovering who she was.
Yeah. So if you don't have it, please get yourself a cast of friends, quirky or not, to help support you, keep you sane, sanity checks, keep it real. And also, don't forget, you also are that to someone else. You're that quirky cast of character.
I will say, Wanru, you're my quirky friend in my romantic comedy.
You're my quirky friend. You know what?
You're my Michelle Buteau.
Oh, you know what?
That's a high compliment.
I think we're co-stars.
I think we're leading ladies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're co-star leading ladies.
Yeah,
like Tina
in
Fey.
our own separate movies.
No, we're in the same movie.
Oh,
no?
Okay, so describe for me what you're saying.
Amy Poehler and Tina Fey.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. We're Wine Country, which is another really great movie, by the way, on Netflix with Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph, Rachel Dratch.
Exactly. So don't forget, you could also be you could be a leading lady in your own life, but then you could be a supporting character in someone else's life.
I believe the strongest characters are where it's interchangeable.
True.
Where you are the leading lady and the co-star. You can be both.
Yeah. So you can bring your quirky support to someone else. Don't forget to lend your quirky support to someone else.
And be that for somebody as well. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the next hallmark of a romantic comedy?
Oh, this is such a big picture thing. I mean, this goes so deep. So in a lot of romantic comedies, the lead falls in love or gets fixated on a person who's completely wrong for them. And the audience knows, you're not supposed to be with that guy. You're supposed to be with that guy. So I hope I'm not giving everything away, but in Always Be My Maybe, the principal relationship is between Ali Wong's character, Sasha, and her childhood best friend, played by Randall Park, What's his character's name again?
Marcus Kim.
Exactly. It's between Marcus and Sasha. But all along the way, they start dating other people.
Mm-hmm.
They get fascinated or entranced by other people. And they actually use each other as a crutch, right? Even while they're dating other people. So the other guy / other girl is a common theme in romantic comedies. And I was like, that is so relevant to our own lives. Because number one, haven't you noticed people end up like when they start dating or they're in the dating world, they get fixated on a certain person and they overlook all the great people that are actually interested in them. Have you ever seen that?
Totally. Totally.
And you're like, why is he with
who's our friend that's doing that now?
No names shall be mentioned.
Okay.
But,
okay.
You know, just think in your own life, you know, like I'm sure you look back and like, why was I dating that schmuck? You know, I was dating the schmuck and everybody said he was a schmuck. And there are other guys who were interested in me who were pretty awesome, right?
Okay.
So that's in the romantic sense. But in the world stage, I think we sometimes miss the forest for the trees.
Okay. So how is this helpful for people?
You know, we get fixated on a certain thing. Like, let's say somebody says, I need to make a certain amount of money. I need to buy a certain car. I need to have a certain lifestyle. And they achieve all of those things.
Okay.
And they feel empty inside.
Uh-huh.
Because they're so fixated on something external that they think will fulfill them. But they're missing out on what they truly need to be fulfilled. So again, the superficial thing that looks good, but it's not actually fulfilling them. So I feel we do that. We fixate on the wrong thing a lot of the times. Fixate on goals that don't really serve us. Whereas if we would take other actions and that are authentic to align with our true desires, we'll be happier. Like, for example,
okay,
you know, Sasha was fixated on this boyfriend that looked good.
Yeah.
From the outside. Right? But she didn't have, am I giving it away? She didn't have rapport with this person. She obviously didn't have a lot of history with this person. And eventually she came to realize that, but took her a long time. Right? So I would say finding the authentic motivations within your own life and not just fixating on what superficially looks good.
Yeah, and I think too, maybe one way to apply this to your life too is to approach any sort of relationship or opportunity with another person romantically, and go into it eyes wide open. So allow yourself to not just think of, oh, I don't want to be negative. I'm just going to focus on the positive stuff. Well, actually, maybe focus on some of the negative stuff because my sister always said, it's those things that bug you in the early part of your relationship that will be the end of your relationship. So pay attention to those things that might be little orange flags versus red flags, right? Some of those orange flags. And, you know, as much as possible, take a step back and try to look at the big picture of whether or not this person is the right person for you.
Yeah, that's great.
They might seem like they are because you know, it's interesting because I've always heard people say, well, why wouldn't I want, you know, Brad Pitt? He's so perfect. I mean, Brad Pitt's going to be really hard to like dump, right?
Well,
right?
I will give the Sex and the City example. You know, Charlotte was married to Kyle MacLachlan. I'm sorry. I cannot remember any character names, so I have to use
yes,
the
I remember
name.
that.
And picture perfect on the outside.
Yeah.
Look good, rich, suave.
Yeah.
You know what? He missed one key thing, which is he wasn't into Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had problems in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Right? He wasn't into her.
Yeah.
So superficially, the relationship looked great.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the one. Who ended up being the one?
Who?
The short, Jewish, bald,
sweaty guy.
Sweaty guy.
He was sweaty.
The divorce attorney.
Yeah.
That's who she fell in love with. That's the one who nourished her and gave her everything that she needed.
Yeah. Didn't he have a black light in his bedroom?
Who? Which one?
The schlumpy guy. The schlumpy guy.
Why did he have a
Didn't
black
he
light?
have like a bachelor pad that had a black light?
Possibly.
Anyway,
Possibly.
I don't remember.
And they
Maybe
ended
it's
up
another show.
adopting a baby girl from China.
Yeah.
I mean, that is beautiful. What
See?
a beautiful story.
You never know where things will lead you. Okay.
Yeah.
So to try not to fixate too much on one person, you're right? It could person, you might be wasting your time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also to reevaluate your goals once in a while, because sometimes we set a goal for ourselves or we have an image of what we want, but just check in with yourself. Like, do I feel like this aligns with what I really want in my heart?
Yep.
In my heart? What I really want?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
right.
good. Good one. Okay. So the next hallmark of a romantic comedy that you can infuse in your life is what?
Oh, so I said the other girl, other guy, right? So I think it's your turn to introduce the next one.
Yeah, I guess it's the realization that he or she is the one and then chasing after the one.
Yeah. You know, there's always that scene, right?
What is the scene?
Usually raining.
Oh, no.
It's usually raining.
Uh-huh.
And then one of the characters.
4 weddings and a funeral. Yep. Mm-hmm.
When Harry met Sally. Okay, maybe it wasn't raining. But there was running.
It was New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Eve.
There's usually a realization followed by the chase, like a physical, like they're running.
Or like a big moment, right? Some sort of big hallmark moment.
Exactly.
Profession of love.
Exactly. A profession of love, which is another hallmark. I will just lump these two together, which is the realization, the chase, and then the profession.
Yes. So where else have we seen the realization? Sort
Every
of like
rom-com has it. I feel like we watch rom-coms for this moment. Like all that stuff, all the external frivolous stuff.
Yeah.
It's to get to this. This is what we're in here for.
I will say that in the mother of all rom-coms, Pride and Prejudice, that little ditty, the moment there was so much tension between Lizzie and Darcy, the two main characters, that the moment that she had such hatred and disdain for Darcy, the moment that he helped her find her sister who had run away with some Lothario soldier guy, the moment he helped her and did not look at Lizzie any differently was the moment that she realized she was wrong about him.
Oh,
That he was a much better human being than she gave him credit for, because she had too much pride and she had too much prejudice. Hey, Jane Austen. Way to put that in there. So yeah, I think that was the turning point for that whole story.
Yeah.
Was when she realized it, and that's when it got real sexy.
And literally, as an audience member, that is the moment we're waiting for.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, there's the famous scene when Harry's alone at midnight and he realizes it's been Sally all along, and he runs, like literally runs through New York to catch her at the party. Right?
Yep.
Beautiful scene. It's interesting. Do you remember the moment in Sound of Music where the father realizes he loves Maria?
I think it's when she sits on the pine cone is what he says.
Yes, exactly.
That he loved her when he noticed that she sat on the pine cone.
Yes. So he recalls that moment when he tells her that he loves her. But what's the moment the two of them realize that they love each other?
I think that it was probably when he started to sing on his guitar after they fell in the water.
Yeah.
And she's standing by the doorway and he's singing Edelweiss. And he realizes how good it feels to sing again. How good it feels to have music back in the house. That is the moment they met at the same time.
Oh, wow.
That movie.
Come on. Beautiful. Come on now. Okay.
It's better than any porno, I guess, anyway. So the other movie that I was going to say was a movie we haven't really mentioned is Jerry Maguire. Did you like Jerry Maguire?
I did.
With Renee Zellweger and Tom Cruise.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
They had some good moments there.
Yeah, so the realization moment is when Jerry Maguire's all lonesome, right?
Yeah. And when he has that big moment with one of his clients, played by Cuba Gooding Jr., has some accident on the field. and he recovers immediately. And it's the big winning moment for Jerry Maguire, whose only client, because he plays a sports agent, is Cuba Gooding's character. And then he realizes that, you know, it's such a pivotal moment in his career, and he has nobody to share it with, really. And the first person he thinks of is Renee Zellweger. So for him,
realization,
yeah, for him, it's interesting. This realization usually comes at the end of the movie,
exactly,
right?
Of course, 3/4 in or something like that. Yeah. Or even like the last 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah. And that's the payoff.
Then where does he do? He runs over to talk to Renee Zellweger. And where she's at the restaurant where she works.
No, she's actually at her sister's house. And her sister has these divorced women's therapy groups. And they hold it at the house of a phenomenal actor, Bonnie. Oh my gosh, what is her name?
Bonnie Hunt?
Bonnie Hunt. I love her. What happened to Bonnie Hunt?
Yeah.
She needs to do more stuff. Anyway.
So he runs. That's the chase. He runs over to her house, or drives over to her house.
Yeah, he runs over to her house. And
the confession.
Yeah. And
the most famous confession of all of rom-coms, I would say.
He's like, hello, da-da-da-da. And he's like, you complete me.
Yeah.
And then the second best line of that movie is, you had
me at hello. I mean, these lines are so
haters who say that they think it's corny. I don't care. That's the best thing. It's the best thing about that movie.
I mean, now it's so trite because it's
wait,
hold on. It's been played out. It's been played out so much.
Okay.
But let's not forget how good that is.
It's so good.
Right?
So good.
It's so good. So let's talk about what makes these moments, which is basically what makes rom-com so great. Why is this good and how it applies to our life?
Yeah.
So I have a view on it. Do you want me to go first?
I would love to hear your view.
So the key is vulnerability.
Uh-huh.
The realization, the chase, and the confession of love is a huge vulnerable moment for the protagonist. They basically have bared their soul.
Yeah.
Sometimes even altering what they're thinking 180 degrees. They have to look past their own prejudices. They have to look past their own fears of rejection or whatever hangups they have to risk telling someone that they love them. That's a huge risk to put yourself out there, right? There's so many impediments to doing that. Your ego, your fears, so insecurities, all of these things. So every rom-com, each person's coming in with their own baggage.
Yeah.
And the first person to risk is the brave one. And the second bravest person is the person who accepts the risk to love back. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's a huge risk for one person to put themselves out there. So that's usually what we're looking for. But what we're also looking for is that second person can overcome their own baggage to say, I love you back.
Yeah.
So what I think the lesson of rom-coms is, don't be afraid to risk for something great. Yeah, be vulnerable. Get over yourself.
To be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm writing this down.
Why?
Because I am processing it and digesting it. And this is what I do. I'm highly visual, so I'm writing it down.
Okay.
So what you're saying is that where romantic comedies are useful and helpful is to teach you how to be vulnerable.
Yes.
Right? And how there is value in being vulnerable if you want to invite love into your life. Is that right?
Or anything. Anything great is worth risking something. Right?
Renee Brown would be so proud.
Thank you.
Right now.
Thank you.
Okay.
So it's about the risk, the personal risk that you're putting. Not that, like, you're flying an airplane or something.
Yeah.
Although, great movie, Night and Day, starring Cameron Diaz and Tom Cruise.
That was a fun movie.
Fun little romp, right?
Yeah.
Fun little romp right there. Okay. A little rom-com with action with Tom Cruise, one of my favorite stars.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's not about physical risk. It's about emotional risk.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to risk put yourself out there, extend yourself to a friend or family member or to a potential love interest or the person that you're in a relationship with because you're afraid to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
They're waiting for you to be vulnerable so that they can share their own vulnerabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's good stuff. I've formulated a thought.
Yes. I eagerly awaited, my sourdough starter, awaiting the product of your thought.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, unlike the sourdough starter, this will not take 14 days.
Okay.
I'll
Yes.
tell you within moments.
Okay, I can't wait.
And my little bit is that what romantic comedies can teach you is the power of friendship.
Oh,
Hey.
I didn't.
Mic and drop.
I did not expect this. I
Power
did not expect this. Tell me.
Friendship.
Tell me.
You know, friend zone or the term friend zone has gotten a real bad rap
It
these
sure
days.
has. Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad rap. If you look at romantic comedies, most romantic comedies start off where people start as friends first and then they develop, right?
Even start as frenemies,
Yeah.
meaning that they dislike each other, but they're drawn to interact with each other constantly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Or they, even though they may have been enemies before, they move in, like
Into
you've got
friendship,
mail,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Prime example. They
Yeah.
start as arch enemies, but then they get to know each other. They become friends. They meet at markets and whatever, gardens, and then they fall in love, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So with a lot of these romantic comedies, it starts with some level, some stage of friendship that develops over time.
Yep.
And the premise there is that when you start as friends, you get to know that person on a more authentic level, right? So I guess it gets tied into what you're saying, Wanru, which is to be able to be vulnerable or to express vulnerability in order for the other person to get to know who you are.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
So there definitely is some ties there and some parallels there. So I would say that where romantic comedies, you know, have touched on something that could be useful is you don't discount the power of being friends with someone and discovering where that might lead.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
It doesn't mean though that just because you're best friends with somebody of the opposite sex or the same sex doesn't mean that it's a guarantee that you guys are going to be together. So
Yes.
don't think that either,
Yes.
but at least, you know, there's that opportunity there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's a woman in my cafeteria. She's my veggie burrito friend.
Okay.
I didn't know that the breakfast burrito at my work could be made vegetarian.
Wow.
I know. I didn't know that either. See? So I
Why
go
is
there.
she your veggie burrito friend?
Well, because I would go there and I would just eat, you know, eggs or just plain whatever things. And I always thought, I wish I could eat a breakfast burrito. Then I saw a woman eating a breakfast burrito, but it looked different. It looked colorful. And I asked her, I said, what's that? She's like, oh, it's a breakfast burrito, but I asked them to put veggies in there. And I was like, you can do this? You can have a veggie breakfast burrito? Blew my mind.
So are you now dating?
No. We are going to Cabo San Lucas together.
You are doing your registry tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, look for us. Under veggie burrito couple. No, basically.
Maybe Home Depot. REI. Hey.
So basically, I was going to say, all of my friends I've made through some kind of food-related thing.
Mm.
But whatever, that's just the beginning. You can form a friendship and a relationship with anybody based on anything. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be my main thing. And also I will say that you know, even though I have loved romantic comedies, you know, oh gosh, over the years, there's just something about romantic comedies, a source of comfort. It gives you maybe a template
Yes.
to work off of.
Mhm.
You know, just keep in mind that a lot of it is escapist. And do not 100%, you know, we're culling certain parts of romantic comedies
Yes.
that can be more realistically applied to your
Yes.
life,
Mhm.
but don't take like When Harry Met Sally as your like guidebook to how to form a romantic relationship.
Absolutely. There's a lot more hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, which is in Harry Met Sally 2, which is the movie they never make.
Yeah.
Which is the movie they never
Not
make.
yet.
Not yet.
But I will say the one thing that I did appreciate about Always Be My Maybe was the different spin it took on romantic comedies while still kind of having familiar romantic comedy elements.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is what I appreciated about Always Be My Maybe was Ali Wong's character and Randall Park's characters, and how Ali Wong's character has no excuses, no apologies for being a successful woman.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I loved that about her character, and I felt like that we, you know, hallelujah. I was yelling, hallelujah. She says to him, you know, basically in no uncertain terms, My
This
career,
is my life.
this is my life, this is my career. I'm not gonna, if you want to be a part of it, be a part of it. If you don't, then bye,
Yeah.
And, and he was cool with that, hopefully, right? He needed to discover that in himself. So that's sort of an evolved male, I feel like.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's a strong male to be able to be with a strong woman. Many times in a lot of romantic comedies, you find women who will put their career to the side in favor of their romantic pursuits. Case in point, Sandra Bullock, The Proposal. However, I love me some Sandra Bullock and some Ryan Reynolds. She was this high-powered publisher lady. And then all of a sudden, she's all like, trying to be all soft and stuff because of this guy. Why you gotta be soft?
I did not watch that movie.
It's pretty good. And there's some good like Alaskan scenery that's really nice. But anyway.
I would only watch it if I were on an airplane and it was one of the 5 choices.
She's got some excellent shoes and a really great navy pinstripe suit that she wears.
Anyways, the point is these rom-coms have things they can teach us, but
Yes.
In real life.
Grain of salt.
Because real life it's about more than just a grain of salt. It's about a loaf of bread.
Yeah, for 14 days. Spoiling and being cognizant of the air quality around you. That's what it's all about, folks.
That's what it's all about. Like the last 2 people on the dance floor at the end of a wedding. Here we are, Golda. You and I.
I thought you were going to say the last 2 people at a bar.
Same
like
thing.
This famous Donna Summer song, Last Dance.
Same thing.
Might have some different connotations. though.
The lights have come up on the bar. Everyone else is gone. What will you remember about today's podcast, Golda? Now that it's just you and me and there's no choice, it's just the 2 of us left at this dirty, dingy bar.
I would say that my takeaway from today is that as much as possible, manufacture meetings with strangers. Test your creativity so that you can manufacture and improvise meetings with strangers so that you never know. They might be your future someone special.
Or a good friend.
Right.
Or just hook you up with a great contractor who's going to fix your roof for you. You never know.
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's about making connections.
Absolutely.
Over the condiments or house chips.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Seriously, though, I will say that your lesson about being vulnerable is definitely something I believe in. So I will be taking away that the more vulnerable that you are, the more open you are to experiences and meeting wonderful people, potentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you, Wanru? What is your takeaway from today's episode?
Well, it's interesting because my takeaway ties in with your story about France.
Oh, tell me.
Well,
tell me more about this story. That was a French accent. Just in case.
I love everything to do with France and having to do with Paris. I love everything. More.
I promise you, I'm not going through a stroke right now. This is my French accent. Go on.
Okay, which is you mentioned that when you went to Paris this time, and you've been many, many times, that you actually saw elements of it which were not as favorable as last time.
Yeah, not so creamy smooth.
Not as creamy smooth as their butter.
Not so technicolor as it once was. Mm-hmm. But it's okay because I like those gritty textures.
Exactly. And then that's what you actually shared regarding rom-coms too, which is that there are these glossy package versions of what relationships are like. And sure, a lot of relationships have those lovely moments. But there's a lot of grittiness and unsavoriness and road rage moments that are built in, but it paints a fuller picture. And if you love someone the way Golda loves Paris, then you will love all parts of them.
Wow. Great tie-in there, Wanru.
Wow, I'm sweating.
Whoa, you made those connections.
Man.
Really? Wow.
Thank you, man.
You must have been like 4.0 GPA, man. That was
4.2 because AP classes always give you an extra point.
I think I was somewhere in the neighborhood of we'll see what your GPA will be in Quito.
Fingers crossed.
Let's just hope.
Exactly.
Very good. I like that a lot. Well, I will say that if you have enjoyed the episode that you just listened to today, we invite you to subscribe to us and share us on the show with everybody that you know. We'd certainly appreciate it. It helps us out tremendously. We tape each episode live and it's available on YouTube. So you can see us. You can see what we're wearing. We can see that I have now layered hair and somewhat bangs that I've pushed back. And that Wanru is wearing a wonderful lavender floral ensemble.
Wow, thank you.
Via YouTube. So check us out on YouTube and subscribe to us. Look for The Ganru Show.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you who prefer the podcast format, we are available on every podcast provider out there, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Stitcher. And you can ask Siri or Alexa to play us on your home pods by saying, play the Ganru Show.
The Ganru Show.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, it's been another wonderful episode, Wanru. And thank you all out there for listening and for watching us on YouTube. We invite you to visit some of our archival podcast episodes. There's a lot out there in case you're behind. We've got a lot to keep you company. And until next time, thank you so much for listening and watching. I'm Golda.
And I'm Wanru.
This has been The Ganru Show. Bye. See you next time.